Welcome to My Life. We're very pleased to have Bob Scott with us. Bob has been a resident of Oxford for 29 years. He was born in Pontiac. He's a member of the VFW and the American Legion at large. You see him at almost every Oxford Village Zoning Board of Appeals meeting.
Village Council.
And Village Council meeting. In fact, you were on the Oxford Village Board of Appeals for a while there too. He is currently on the West Burdick Condo Association Board, an active member there. He was in the Navy for 22 years. He worked for General Motors for another 20 years. He has 2 children and his wife, Jerry. He's used the golf club a time or two, and we're very pleased to have him on our show. Welcome, Bob. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, John.
Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in your life right now. What's going on at the board meeting that keeps you so interested?
Nosy. If you don't go to these meetings, you're getting everything secondhand for any information about the village or about the meetings or about people in the village that are running things. And you should know a little bit about them when you read the articles. And so that's where not just me, but my wife and I, we decided we'd go to the meetings. They used to be twice a month. Now they're down to once a month. And it keeps us interested in what's going on in our village.
Well, I guess if things start happening that you don't like and you haven't participated a little bit, then in a way you have no one to blame but yourself, huh?
That's it. If you sit there and take everything in, and you've got to contribute. You're going to reap the profits of the village council meetings. You're going to have to profit. You're going to have to contribute. And so many people say, well, I watch it on TV, and somebody says, well, they told me that they used to have it on TV. I said, they still have it on TV. I said, there's a photographer there every night that the meeting is in place. Man, you can just follow up on it.
We do broadcast them all on Oxford Community Television, so there's no excuse for people not to see them in one way or another. Well, you've got a fascinating story to tell about your life. You were in the military during 2 wars and the start of a third. But what I'd like to do first is to go back to where it all started. Now, you were born in Pontiac, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Whereabouts in Pontiac?
I lived in the north side, Glenwood and Perry Street area. That was the proximity was there. And my folks bought a house, and I think back how much they paid for it. It was just unbelievable. And my kids, who are grown now and owners of their own homes, and they said, "Are you sure, Gramps? Is that all he paid?"
It's like pocket change today, huh?
Yeah. So anyway, it was enjoyable.
What did your dad do?
He was plant security at Pontiac Motor.
So he was General Motors?
Yes.
How long did he work for them?
Oh, God. He had to be close to 34, 35 years.
A long time.
Yeah.
If you were to guess, what year did he begin with General Motors?
1926.
So he saw some of the early days of the auto industry, didn't he?
Oh, yes, he did. Prior to that, he worked for Ford Motor Company for just maybe less than a year.
Uh-huh.
But when he came to Pontiac and hired with them, and my grandfather was there also.
He worked for General Motors?
Yeah.
Wow. What year did he start, do you know?
I think he started a year before my dad. And so that's how my dad got in, was because my grandfather was there.
So your family has a lot of history in General Motors.
No.
Did you ever check your family history to find out what generation was the first to set foot in this country?
No, but my oldest son, who retired out of the Navy also, he had a shipmate. He has a shipmate that lives in Saginaw, and he's retired also, and they're pretty tight. You know, friends come and go, but shipmates are forever. And he's working on a family tree for my son. So I hope it's done before I die.
Did you know your grandparents?
Yes. Well, on my maternal, yes.
Were you able to know any of your great-grandparents?
No,
All right.
no.
Tell me what it was like when you were growing up in Pontiac.
Well, everybody, you go to bed at night and not lock your doors. That's one thing I remember. Just everybody were friends, friends and neighbors. They were tight. And then as the years progressed and things speeded up, and first thing you know, things fell off the cart.
What do you remember that you enjoyed doing for fun as a kid in Pontiac?
Baseball. Played baseball day in and day out. And you know, most of the time it was not organized ball. It was just a group of guys got together and says, let's play ball today. You made your own ball diamonds. You had an old raggedy glove and all your bats had been broken by older teams, and we'd get them together and nail them together and tape them, and just everybody was in the same boat. Everybody was same pay grade, you know.
Well, you kind of grew up during the Depression era, didn't you?
Well, it was, yes.
Did you think it was the Depression?
I didn't know what a depression was. I just figured everybody was that way. You wore shoes that had been half sold, resold, clothes. Now you pay $80 for a pair of dungarees off the rack. There are holes in them.
It's fashionable now.
We just thought that was the way life was, you know. You had, it was a good life. Everybody was
Do you
the
remember
same.
much about rationing and that sort of thing back then?
No, not really, because I went in the Navy when I was 2 days after I was 17.
I mean, when you were a kid.
Well, no, not really. I think I know after I got in, you'd see a sign, the reason you have butter in this galley is because your parents have contributed, you know, things like that, I just thought, well, you know,
Yeah.
this is life, it's growing up.
Was your dad in the service by any chance?
World War I.
World War I. I want to pick up on that in just a moment. We need to take a break right now. We're here with Bob Scott. Please return with us. Back on My Life with Bob Scott. We're just beginning to talk about your father's service experience. You said that he was in World War I.
Yes.
Did he ever talk about that to you?
Well, a couple items. He used to have a Bible. It was printed in German. He got it from a German prisoner. And then he had a cane that a German or Prussian or whatever nationality had whittled it out of a log. And I still have that at home now. And it's the guy whittled it down with put a snake around this log. And I always remember my dad had it because he was the oldest of the boys, oldest of the children. And when he brought it back, there was blood in the eyes and blood in the mouth. And his mother made him take that blood out of there. I don't know how he got it out, you know, because it's hardened after that. But he always had that cane, and it was always on the fireplace mantel, usually. And so I still have it now in my room. It's with nautical artifacts. And people say, well, where'd that cane come from? So I have a story about that, you know.
Sure.
So,
Was he in the Army?
Army, ground pounder.
I take it he was in Germany then, right?
You know, he was in 2 or 3 places in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And so he told a couple stories, and he came home with a pistol, and a German pistol, and that cane, and the Bible. So he told me one time about going in a trench dugout with the German high command might have been a colonel, I don't know, but he was there, and when they went into this dugout, the Germans had left before they got in there. But he said there was a cigarette still burning in the ashtray. So I said, oh, and so there were things like that, but it was very minute, and I didn't gain anything on that at the time. I wish now that I would have talked with him and really got into what he did and what he saw. But being young and my own
Unfortunately,
stories,
that's the way it goes for all of us, I think.
right.
Yeah. Did your mother work outside the home?
Oh yeah, she worked in a grocery store. Of course, there was 4 of us kids, so she had to do that. But
Did your mom and dad originally come from the Pontiac area, or were they born elsewhere?
no, they were born elsewhere.
Whereabouts?
Well, my dad was born in Mississippi, and my mother was born in Missouri. And my mother's father was at the time a Methodist preacher, and he was on a circuit. So he'd get paid a chicken or 2 for this week, and next week he might get a piece of ham. So that's how he was paid. And it was a great experience, and the first time he really had a job other than being a preacher was when he was hired at Pontiac Motor.
What brought him up from Mississippi?
Job-wise, into Detroit, and that's when Ford was going to pay $5 a day for.
That's what brought a lot of people to our area.
That's what started and built the
Yeah.
automobile factories. That's what did it.
You mentioned that your mother did work outside the home. What did she do?
She was a grocery clerk.
Oh, that's right. Okay. What grade school did you go to in Pontiac?
Baldwin, and which is no longer there. It's been demolished, and it's just a field now. But that was in between Perry and Saginaw, between Edison and Saginaw.
Were the classes very large then?
You know, I can't even tell you. I don't remember.
Yeah. But
It
Pontiac
was
was
a
pretty good.
well-built old school, and it was brick, 2-story. And I remember some of my favorite teachers, and of course, God bless them, they're gone now, but it was a good system.
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I had 1 sister and 3 brothers. 2 brothers, pardon me.
And where were you in the lineup?
I was second. My sister was the oldest, and then me, and of course, following her in school, it was tough because she was a brain, and I was a like to think I was a jock. And boy, some teachers say, why don't you do as well as your sister? Well, we're not built the same. That's why. I never said that, but I thought of it many times. You know, I didn't want to be rude and sarcastic, but it was there.
Did you play a lot of organized sports in high school?
I played baseball, and that was the only organized sport. I wasn't tall enough for basketball, and I wasn't big enough for football. I used to think I was, but I wasn't.
So you're just a regular guy?
Just a regular guy. Just had a lot of people I enjoyed being with, and
did you live close to your grandparents? Who couldn't have been too far away.
yeah. Well, for quite a number of years, they lived with us, and I guess that was probably because of money, paying rent. I remember we lived in 3 or 4 different houses, and they were all rentals before my dad could get enough money for a down payment for a house. And it was just a good life.
What do you remember about family activities back then? Any
Well-
favorite things you did as a family?
You know, went to church, and that was a given that you knew you were going to go to church on Sunday. And as far as relatives, all the relatives lived in Detroit because they finally came north, got a job, but my dad was the only one that had an automobile. And so come the weekend, we were usually in that car heading down Woodward to somebody's house in Detroit. And they'd ride the bus out, or if my dad had a little time off or something, he might drive down there and get them. But invariably, and they took a vacation, you know, let's go to the country, Pontiac country, because they live in Detroit, the city. That used to jack me out of shape, but anyway, it was all right. But
it was far enough back then that you probably ended up spending the night, whichever way you went.
a lot of times 1 or 2 of the family, the other side of the family, would stay at our house.
Yeah. Got to take a break for just a moment. We'll pick up on that when we return. Bob Scott.
Do you love local sports? Whether it's Oxford High School or Parks and Rec, you can buy copies of each game. To purchase your copy, call us at 248-628-9658 or give us an email at manager@occtv.org or talk to us at the next game. Hopefully we'll see you there.
Welcome to American Legion in Oxford for the best fish on Fridays. That's right, from noon to 8:30. You can get the best walleye in Michigan. You can get walleye, baked cod, chicken strips, baked potatoes, and more. On the hall side of the Legion, oh, hello there, friends. You can have 12 friends on a table, any one of the best military museums in Michigan. And the dining side, oh, hello again. More comfortable with many 4-seat tables and a couple of 5-seaters. Now on Friday, we usually have about 400 to 500 best friends for our fish. Carry out? You bet. We have 50 to 60 carryouts at the post. We have some young fins with the birthdays and some of our best seniors at the post. Oh yeah, waitresses, they go like a track waitress to get your food. If you have never enjoyed our secret famous walleye at the Legion, come on in every Friday from noon to 8:30 at the American Legion Post 108 on 130 East Rainer Road, Oxford.
We're here with Bob Scott talking about visiting with relatives here, there, and everywhere, going back and forth between Pontiac and Detroit. So did you have a lot of surprise visits from the relatives, unannounced, showing up at the doorstep?
Well, now and then, but we had a phone. But I don't think they did that. I think they had to go down a street corner and drop the coins in the slot, you know.
My, how things have changed.
Yeah.
Are those fond memories for you?
Yeah, you know, it's so seldom do you think about them because of the fast way we live that you just, you know, kind of slough those things off. And of course, topics have changed now. Instead of talking like that with family, which they didn't have any kids my age. I had a cousin that was 3 years older than I. Well, he was telling me, "Hey, kid, get away, you know, go play with somebody your own age, you know, that type of thing." And it was quite a long while before we became really friends.
Funny how that changes when you get older.
Oh yeah, it's well, of course, he went in the Army, and when he got out, and when I stayed in the Navy, and
Yeah.
he
What high school did you go to?
Pontiac High up on Huron Street.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a great old school. Then you see they built Pontiac High, and then they went Pontiac Northern and Pontiac High Central. Just kind of fell by the wayside.
Yeah.
When I came back here on recruiting duty in 1961, that Northern was open.
Mm-hmm.
And I renewed acquaintances with some teachers that I'd had at Central when I was in school. And one of my favorites, God bless her, she's gone now, but she was a great lady, and she'd been my homeroom teacher in junior high school at Lincoln Junior High. And then I came back, and she allowed me to speak to a couple of her classes and on my experiences in the Navy and traveling, and so she and I still became friends after all those years, and she's a wonderful lady.
Were you able to walk to school?
Rode my bike a lot.
Rode your bike?
Yeah. Yeah.
What were some of your favorite things to do in high school back then?
One of the things was this buddy of mine had a Model A, and be about 5 of us guys jump in that thing.
And you could drive at what age back then?
Well, that was debatable because I think the law might have said 15, but if you're on a farm, you could drive 12 or 14.
That's
or
right.
Whatever. And so there weren't a lot of drivers then, and not a lot of guys with vehicles transporting to and from school.
So when you got in your buddy's Model T, where was your favorite place to go?
Oh, probably Ted's trailer out there in Woodward.
That was famous for a long time, wasn't
yeah. Then there was a fish and chip place. I tell you, I can't even think of the name of it now. Used to be on, and they moved farther south. You go to Fish and Chips, had really good food.
it? Now, what year did you graduate from high school?
Well, it should have been 44.
Mm-hmm.
But I finally got my diploma with a GED.
Mm-hmm.
And
What was going through your minds during those years in high school when World War II was getting fired up?
my biggest thought, and I've thought of this many times, I was so afraid that war was going to end before I got there. I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to serve my country. I wanted to go in the Navy. I had wanted to go in the Navy since I was just a little kid. And it was really important.
Your dad was in World War I in the Army.
Right.
Do you remember any of his thoughts about that whole thing back during the start of World War II?
No, I don't. Like I say,
Did you ever talk to him about wanting to go into the service?
oh yeah, he knew it. And I ran away from home one time when I was 15. This other guy and myself, and we
What caused you to do that?
wanted to be part of the Navy. We wanted to fight the Japs. We wanted to win the war. Let them know we were the best. And we took our birth certificates with us. We had this girl change the dates on them, which was really a rank amateur job. After I went to recruiting, and I thought, how stupid was I? You can't get past these recruiters. They're guys that have been around the block already a couple times, and I'm going to try to cheat them, and they know right away that I'm not 17. Once you're 17, then you got to get your parents' consent to go. If you're 18, you just go on your own, but if you were 17, you needed your parents' consent. And
So what happened?
well, finally my parents, they might have had a quarrel over this, I'm sure of. But my dad said, when you're 17, I'll sign the papers for you. And I think that put a stick between him and my mother. Because little things, I just felt that she was bitter about her son being in the Navy and away from home.
Probably a universal feeling between mothers, I would say.
Right. I know she had the same feeling for her brother, who went in the Army, and he was a career man also, but my dad, he felt more like I did. It must have been the genes of some kind.
Well, you know, it's we have to remind ourselves that back during that time, there was more of a feeling that our country was being threatened, and we wanted to go to bat for our country.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of young men who were doing exactly what you did, trying to sign up by falsifying these documents. It was a patriotic thing to do. And some got through, it worked for some of them.
Quite a few got through, and some of those 16-year-olds that got in, they let them stay. They were close enough to the 17th birthday that it was more, well, just better for them to stay in than to get out and start all over again.
We've got a lot of ground to cover here with Bob Scott, so we're going to have another episode with Bob, and I hope that you'll be able to join us for that. We want to talk about the end of his high school career and the beginning of his Navy career, so please rejoin us with Bob Scott on My Life in the next edition.
Canine Stray Rescue is Oxford's own local dog rescue. Each year they take in hundreds of dogs and bring them into suitable homes. A certified nonprofit organization, Canine Dog Rescue strives to give pound dogs a new leash on life. To donate, adopt, or even volunteer, call them at 248-628-0435 or go to their website dogsaver.org and click on the Canine Stray Rescue League link.